Welcome to the BoozeFreeBabes podcast, where we help high-achieving women reframe their relationship with alcohol, rediscover their confidence, and step into their power fully. I'm your host, Ellen Frazier, a recovered perfectionist, mortgage maven, and founder of the BoozeFreeBabes community. Each week, we dive deep into inspiring conversations with women who are living bold, brilliant, and booze-free. Whether you're sober curious or fully alcohol free, you're in the right place. And today we're talking to Renee Adams, a certified sober curious and mindset coach, wellness enthusiast, co-founder of Nosedive Co. Can't wait to hear all about that. She's just as passionate about metal music as she is about mindfulness. And when she's not writing in one of her many journals, she's helping people numb less and live more. Hey, Renee, what is up? That is freaking righteous.
Yes. Hi, Ellen. So happy to be here with you today. I am just already buzzing and stoked to talk to you about these topics. I'm so
I am
excited.
too. I am too. And so just a little backstory on Renee. We have met through the community actually before. And so we're kind of aligned in a lot of similarities and groups. So I'm so excited to get this opportunity to chat with you today. So tell us a little bit about you and Nosedive and your mission. We want to hear all about it.
Yeah, so as you said, I'm the other half of Nosedive Co. Mara Demaro. She is actually kind of our through line on how we met. And yeah, Mara and I, met in grad school over 10 years ago now, and we bonded over just our in-depth conversations around wellness and mindfulness and just things that are kind of awe-inspiring. And so she became a sober curious coach. I actually went through her program, her beta program, started reducing alcohol from my life, just getting really clear on what I wanted out of life, like what my purpose was. And through that, became a coach myself and just saw that we were doing very similar things. So we're like, hey, why don't we join forces? And so that's how Nosedive was born. And our main mission really is to numb less, to live more, get off of autopilot, get clear about what it is that you really want from life, and building that courage and confidence to be able to get after it and go full send into whatever it is that you want to do, that may be a little outside of the norm, and being okay with it.
I think that is so amazing. And I just have to say, from we had Mara on the show, I think in episode or season one, maybe it was season two, I can't remember. But having her on the show, I just have to say that both of you guys are a um you attract people like a moth to a flame, if that makes sense. I
Thank
just
you.
love your bubbly personalities and the way that you show up on social media. It is so welcoming and inviting. And I think that that is so critical when we're talking about sober curiosity, right?
Oh my gosh, totally. I mean, I think that's one of the main reasons why I love sober curiosity so much. And I know when people hear the word sober, sometimes it can feel a little cringy. It can feel a little bit like, oh, I don't want to really touch that subject at all. But that's why I embrace sober curiosity so much, because it's for the gray area people. It's for the people who are, who don't really resonate with the recovery space. While that works for some people, and we understand that some people absolutely cannot drink alcohol, there's a whole big sort of I call it purgatory, which I feel like might be a little negative, but it's like the purgatory
In
space,
between.
like the in between, the kind of like gray, like murky area where it's like you don't really fit in the recovery space, but you know that there's something there that you're kind of like, I really do need to be honest with myself and look at my behaviors, and is it really serving me? So that's why I love sober curiosity, because it's like you get to explore and ask that question without this kind of overarching rigidity that kind of comes along with removing something from your life, like cold turkey. And a lot of the time, sometimes that doesn't work for people.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And I think this conversation is really cool because I feel like just following my own journey and also like the direction of Booze Free Babes, like we started out as a sober, curious community, and we still are, right? Like we're all inclusive and welcoming. However, I feel like my journey has shifted slightly, right? Because I too started out in sober curiosity. And that's, when I first met Mara and we were carving pumpkins and we were
Yeah.
sober, and it was like so cool to hang out with all
Yeah.
these cool chicks and just do fun things sober. And so, it's wild though that the more that you get, this is my own personal story, by the way,
Yeah,
the more
sure.
that I got away from, excuse me, the more that I leaned into sober curiosity and the more time that I kind of accumulated, it was like, oh, wow, this is a shift that I'm ready to make now. Right.
Yes,
But I
yes.
needed that curiosity time frame. Like I feel like 21 and 22 were really my opportunities to reframe my relationship with alcohol.
Yeah, it's about asking the question and having fun with it. Like, I like to frame it, and we like to frame it. Mara and I have said this a couple times. It's an experiment. Dip your toe in, see what works for you. And that's what's great about having a community, too, is like you can hear other people's stories, such as yourself, who you're not the same person from when you started in sober curiosity to now. And I think that's the beautiful part of this journey is that you can change and it's up to you to make that decision. Like you don't necessarily have to be like, "Oh, I am sober curious and I'm never going to drink again." Or, the flip side, like, "Oh, I only want 2 drinks," or adding different rules. Like it just looks different for everybody. But I think the underlying sort of through line with all of it is allowing yourself the pause and the time to be able to have that baseline of what clarity actually feels like for you. Because when you go so long on the sort of autopilot of numbing, like whatever that numbing substance is for you, like obviously we're talking about alcohol here, but there's so many other elements too, like social media, like the doom scroll, the maybe overeating or overindulging, and this through line of giving yourself and creating the space to pause long enough to actually ask yourself, like, what are my values? What do I even like to do? And a lot of the times people haven't had and given themselves the space to do that.
So it sounds like you're just welcoming a lot of open curiosity, right?
Yes, yes. And it's data points. It's like, okay, you go one weekend and it's kind of scary and you're going to this event and you're not going to drink because that's what you're telling yourself that you want to do and you're following through and it can be kind of scary. And then after that weekend, say you do have a drink. Okay. That is a data point. Don't see that as like, holy shit, my whole life is crumbling. I did something I said that I didn't want to do. Use that as data towards, okay, well, what am I going to do next time? And be able to reflect on that without having a complete and utter like shame, guilt fest for not like following through on something that is, you're a novice at, like you're a beginner.
I was just going to say that you're taking out the guilt and shame of the conversation, which is so important because we can't guilt and shame ourselves into healing, right? That's at the
Yeah.
very bottom of the energetic scale, right? Guilt
Yes.
and shame. Shame's actually lower than guilt. So it's like, what are we doing here? Are we loving ourselves fully? And in loving ourselves fully, are we embracing those moments where we are in guilt and shame? And are we saying, hey, it's okay, chick, cool out. You maybe went a little too far last night. Let's do something. Let's choose something differently for ourselves next time, right?
Yeah. And I think too, it's like, taking the people pleasing away from it too, like that's something that I've had to learn a lot. And of course, we'll continue to learn through this journey is like asking yourself, am I doing XYZ to please someone else, to not step on someone else's toes, to not make somebody else feel uncomfortable? And when we're able to kind of reclaim our own power and being like, no, I'm making this decision for me because this is what I want, and recognizing that that's not selfish is something really hard to unpack sometimes because you don't want to be difficult or like challenging with other people, but you also need to set that boundary for yourself, like this is my surrounding. Do I really want to be around people who I have to feel like I can't be myself? So it's like that whole spiral of like, just those steps of taking back what you actually want for your lifestyle. And then on the flip side of that, taking the small actions to kind of change your behaviors to reshape that reality that's yours.
Right. It sounds like when we're operating on autopilot, right? And we're just in this behavioral loop or this pattern of, Friday night's happy hour, Thursday night's Thirsty Thursday, whatever that looks like for you, right? But when we're in that pattern, it's like, what's the thing that's going to bump the record player a little bit just to get us out of that groove and onto the next thing? And I feel like the approach that you guys take, which I love, is let's dive into fun. Let's have some fun together. What is it
Yeah.
that we're going to do this weekend that's going to be fun that we can take ourselves away from the distraction of the conversation in our heads about whether we're going to drink tonight or not, right? Let's dive a little bit into that. Share with us a little bit about the fun that you guys love to have.
Yeah, I think that's the other aspect of just talking about anything that has to do with substances is that it can get pretty serious pretty quickly. And again, we don't want to take away from any of those topics because it is. It's like it can hit those like really deep traumatic wounds, which we honor, but it's like let's have some fucking fun. Like, let's do this in a fun way. So, where we can kind of like lower those waters to not feel that pressure and like building that confidence when we are our authentic selves and we're in these sort of times where we're like kind of weird, but embracing that oddness about us and getting creative. I think it just opens up this space to understand yourself, understand your surroundings in different ways. And it's like waking up that part of yourself that may have been very dormant for a long time. Because as humans, we love routine. It's easier, to be able to get out of like, you don't have decision paralysis when you have routines because you know exactly what to expect. So when we come in and we want to shake that up in some way, we're like, it's like, it's uncomfortable. So what we like to do is not only share stories with one another about our experiences, because I think when we resonate with one another, we're able to connect and be able to be a little more like, okay, I feel comfortable and safe in this space. It also allows for us to kind of jump all in, like go all in and not giving a shit about what other people think and getting back to like our kid self, our playful self. Do you think 5-year-old me would give any about what people think about what I'm doing? If I want to skateboard, if I want to sing in front of somebody, if I want to paint or whatever. No, we just don't. Like, as we get older and as we become adults, there's all of these other societal things that are telling us who to be to fit in a box so that it's easier for us to categorize and live through our lives. So when we disrupt that, that's what we're here to do as Nosedive, is to be like, wait, let's ask ourselves some questions here and let's have some fun doing it, because it like, let's live life. Like, that's the whole point. It's like we get so caught up in like what I used to, like, what I did in the past, what am I doing in the future? Like, we just forget to see the beauty and the grace in what's happening right now.
How I love that. Just like being present in the moment, right?
Yeah,
And then
totally.
also following your joy. We talk a lot about intentional fun. And the reason why intentional fun is important to me is because I feel like if I'm starting at a higher elevation, right? Because my mood is boosted, I'm up a little bit, I'm elevated, I'm already starting out at a higher field, right? And so if
Yeah.
something life happens, something's going to knock you down, flat tire, parking ticket, whatever, I don't know, life happens. Well, if I'm starting at a place that's like already pretty low, right? I've had a bad day and now something else happens. It just keeps to seem going deeper. Whereas if we're starting at a higher elevation, then I feel like, hey, you're not going to bump me completely off of this, right? Like it might
Love that
bother me a little bit,
analogy.
but I'm still here. Like I'm still rocking with it. And so
Yeah.
and I'm really big about the emotional wave. For me personally, I experience emotional waves. It's part of my human design. It's just part of me being Ellen. And
Yes.
so riding that emotional wave and understanding that when I'm able to show up from a higher perspective or in fun and joy and in those places, then I feel like I can embrace life a little bit more, if that makes sense.
My gosh, totally. Like, I love that analogy too, where you're like, well, if I'm already down here, then you're gonna be, like, I love that visual. And I think too, like, when we start to question and become a little more reflective, and get a little more clear and find that baseline, whatever that looks like for you, we're able to make that mind body connection with your intuition and being able to incorporate your feelings so that it isn't such a big blow when life does life, and being able to integrate those emotions instead of masking and escaping those emotions, because that's something that I did, before my sober curious journey, that I think was on the path of becoming something that was very, um what's the word, detrimental for me, because it started to become, and wine specifically was my way to cope. It was becoming my coping mechanism, because anytime that I felt any kind of discomfort or I didn't want to feel my emotion, I reached for that autopilot of the wine to numb that shit out. But it's like, of course, it's going to come out in different ways. So when we're able to actually incorporate and welcome in those feelings instead of like that resistance, and integrating it into our everyday lives, it's not such a big deal anymore. It's like, okay, I've done this before. Like, I have internal dialogue. There's that thing where people say that they don't have like internal dialogue. It like blows my mind because I talk to myself like constantly during the
Yeah.
day, you know?
Hard to
And so
quiet
I
that
have,
noise down.
yes, and that's another part too, is like to quiet the noise. But when you're able to welcome those emotions in and understand that it's a part of you, and that it's a part of being human, um the the blow isn't as hard because you can kind of talk yourself through it, and that's where the courage is built. That's where the resilience is built, is when you can start tackling these challenges with such grace and understanding and coming from a completely different place so that it doesn't knock you down entirely.
I love that you use the word courage because it is a courageous movement to really want to experience our emotional scale fully, right?
Yes.
And what I've found with I did Psych K as my pathway or modality, and it's all about subconscious integrative therapy, and
Mm,
so or subconscious integrative change. So in that, we practice like sitting in the emotion when that's happening and just sitting with it for a minute because it always passes if we sit in it in the minute, it'll pass like usually within 3 minutes.
yeah.
Do you feel
Yeah.
like that's the case for you too?
Oh, totally. I mean, and they say it with cravings too. It's like, instead of seeing it, and this is something that like Mara taught me actually, that I continue to use, is when those feelings start to come up, I internally say, like, I welcome whatever that feeling is. Okay, I understand you. You're here for a reason. And seeing them kind of like pass as a cloud, like a passerby, instead of taking on that identity. So instead of being like, oh my God, I'm so anxious right now. Oh my God, I'm so fearful right now. You aren't those things. the emotions are just happening with you and sort of to you. So if you can kind of talk to it that way and see it as sort of something that's just kind of passing by, it's like a little visitor that you can talk to and say, hi, hello. Yes, I know you're here and I know you're here to protect me. And I know you're relating this to the last time that this happened. And it's a little traumatic, but that's okay. Like this is what's going on in my brain. But it's just so much more of like a softer blow. And as you said, yes, it's like a craving. They say if you can kind of sit in it and sort of talk yourself through it for about 10 to 15 minutes for craving specifically, that's all it takes. And then you're on the other end and you're like, wow, okay, that wasn't as bad. It's like they say the same thing with like going to the gym. It's like the buildup of of having to go to the gym versus going and how you feel afterwards. You're like, oh hell yeah, I'm so happy I did that.
That's a great analogy, is it not? Because I
Yeah.
mean, how many times have you heard them say, if you can just get through the door to the gym, then you'll work out and you'll be happier about it. You just got to get
It's
there.
the hardest part.
Yeah.
That is the hardest part is like the conversation that goes back and forth is like, oh, well, I'm tired today. Oh, well, I'm not like, no, you just get up, you go, and you feel so much better afterwards. And I feel I equate it the same to like when I have a hankering for something. Cause like I still do, have cravings for alcohol sometimes. But what I do in those situations is like, what do I actually need right now? Most of the time. Like, I would consider myself sober ish, but I also haven't had a drink in probably the last, I don't know, 4 months or something like that. But yeah, I like to like understand where those feelings are coming from to be like, when was the last time I ate? How much water have you had today? Like asking yourself those questions, like, okay, am I actually just like super hangry right now? Do I need to just like go for a walk and get some fresh air? And so once I kind of go through that sort of like checklist, if then I'm like, okay, maybe I will have a glass of wine. Okay, fine. But if something sort of ticks that check mark where I'm like, okay, no, I'm just like really freaking stressed right now. This is the exact time where I don't want to reach for that alcohol to kind of numb through that. Let's work through it and see what other kind of outlet you can kind of channel or integrate into your daily habit. And that's a little more health conscious. Like go for a
Right.
walk, do like 5 air squats, go for a little zoomies in your in your house or something, and then see how you feel afterwards.
Love that. And it's really circling back to like nervous system care and being able to become aware and sitting with it, right? Like being aware in that moment and then kind of shifting or redirecting the focus. That is so exciting. All right, so tell us, how can we find Nosedive Co? And I also want to hear about your podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. So, for the podcast, it's just Nosedive. It's funny when you look it up on Apple. There's another podcast called Nosedive, and it's got like a guy diving. It's not that one. It's the other one, and it's Mara and I on the front. So you can find us on Apple and Spotify, anywhere where you find your podcast or listen to your podcast. Nosedive. We're also on YouTube at Nosedive Co. And then you can follow us on Instagram. My personal one is coach_Radams. Our nosedive is at Nosedive Co., which is the same on TikTok. And then with Mara, hers is just at Mara DeMaro. And then, of course, like if you're wanting us to cover any topics, if you would like to be a guest on our podcast, you can email us at info@nosedive-co.com or just visit our website, which is www.nosedive-co.com.
Ashco.com. Okay.
Dash Co. Yeah. Cause it's funny too. Like I've had somebody look up Nosedive and they're like, this is a candle company. I'm like, that's not the right website.
Thank you for clarifying that. And it's
Yeah.
really exciting to hear the stories that you guys are talking about too. Tell us about your course that you're launching.
Yes, so we have a self-led course. It's $97, y'all, which is like kind of unheard of because Mara and I really put our hearts and souls into it. Self-led course, it's a 5-month course around sober curiosity, but also a lot of these tips and tricks and tools on the mindset subconscious level to really understand, what's your why behind wanting to change and shift some of these behaviors. So many different resources, journal prompts, there's discounts in there for like apps and different resources that we use personally. So yeah, you can find that on the website. It's called the Curiosity Compass. And of course, too, if you have any questions about any of this at all, you can always shoot me an email or shoot me a DM on Instagram. I'd be happy to answer any of your questions. But yeah, the course is amazing. Mara and I not only like went through the course, but we put both of our expertise working with clients and just what we've experienced in our own journeys.
That is so exciting. And so not
Yeah.
only are we getting living proof perspective, but we're also getting the perspective that you have from your client's journey as well. So that's really a lot of
Yes.
fun.
Yeah.
Yay. That's so cool. All right. So let's talk about nervous system care. I'm curious, do you have like a routine or ritual that you do that kind of helps you when you're in the moment or in the morning, however that looks like for you, that really helps you get on your path for the day?
Absolutely. So I do this every single morning when I wake up. Before I even get out of bed, I sit up, just sitting on the bedside, and I put my feet on the ground. I close my eyes and I say, "Today is going to be a good day." I say that every single day. Today is going to be a good day and something magical will happen today. And I think that just really, and I know that I took that from some kind of psychologist or doctor. I'm so bad because I take these things and I'm like, oh shoot, I really should remember who I took this from. But it's not me. So I'm not taking credit for this. But it really does set the tone for your day. No matter what happens, you're like already priming your brain to be in a more positive mindset, in a grateful mindset. So that's something I do every single day. I also like to get some kind of movement in, whether that's like going to the gym, strength training. At the very minimum, I think walking is super underrated. Like, I love it. It's so easy to do. You can do it anywhere, even if it's like raining outside, take a stroll in your house, like do a couple laps. And then the last thing is every night I will either journal or read a couple pages. I think disconnecting from social media, if you can put that little timer thing on your phone where it's like, okay, you've reached your screen time to kind of notify you like, all right, it's time to start winding down, because when you're like looking at your screen right before bed, it just takes so much longer, at least for me personally, to quiet the noise to be able to actually get a good night's sleep. So reading a couple pages in an actual book, like not on anything like digital, I think is important, or journaling, because it allows you to kind of do like a brain dump too, from just like your day, to reflect on it, to just get those thoughts out of your head and on paper so you're not continuously talking to yourself like as you go to bed. And then reading, like I said, just a couple pages, because we like to learn and grow.
Yeah. What are
Yeah.
some good books that you would suggest for our listeners?
Oh my God. Okay. So Dr. Tara Swart is like, I'm such a fangirl.
Hang on, I
Sh
gotta write this down.
Okay. So Dr. Tara, Tara Swart, Swart. She is a neuroscientist. She is like a pioneer for neuroplasticity, which is the study of rewiring our brains. Because for the longest time, we were told, okay, once you reach this age, your synapses, like in your brain and how it's wired, they thought it was like set. But neuroplasticity is this newer, I think it's maybe in the 70s, 60s, or 70s, that we actually can rewire our brains at any age with the subconscious sort of rewiring of how you reframe things in your life. So she's got 2 books. She actually just released her second, but her first is called The Source.
Source, okay.
Absolutely incredible. She talks about how to sort of implement these things, and she merges kind of the holistic wellness approach with actual like science-backed perspectives too as a neuroscientist. So I think that's super interesting with my, my little skepticism that I have. It's always nice to have some kind of like, scientific background type stuff in there. And she also just came out with her book called Signs,
Sign.
which yes. And this is her take on communicating with people who have passed in means of
Interesting.
signs. Yeah. And so if you like that, there's also another one by Laura Lynn Jackson, who is a psychic medium, and she specializes in grief counseling. And she also has a book called Signs, which was,
Sign.
I actually read her book first. But it's just really beautiful to like hear these stories of people and getting connected with your intuition on a different level, that both, at the intersection of like scientific and then like otherworldly things, however you take that. But
Well,
yeah, those are
we
two
can
good
get
ones.
really, really woo in the Booze Free Babes Clubhouse. So
Okay, good.
I
Okay,
love
good.
that. I know. I'm like, woo woo. I love that. I
Yes.
am
Yeah.
definitely intrigued by the book Signs because I just know that we're communicating on so many different levels and we're also communicating with different versions of ourselves, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
And
And this one is kind of a little random. I don't know why it's popping in my head right now, but there's another one by, I know Reese Witherspoon just launched one of her books. It's like a thriller, I think, but that's not the one I'm talking about. Sorry, I'm like ping-ponging all over the place. This one I'm talking about is called Whiskey in a Teacup, and it's a memoir sort of book about Reese Witherspoon and her upbringing. And just like, I love Reese. She's just like such a role model for me in general. And it's like, I don't want to spoil the meaning of the book, so I'll let you guys read it. But it's really about strong women and what it takes to be a strong woman, and just like women empowerment. I freaking love it. So that's a good
I
one
am
too.
down for that. I'm getting that
Yeah.
book today. That sounds like
Yeah.
it's right up my alley.
Oh, it's so good. And it's such an easy read too. And it's just like fun and whimsical, but also like underlying tones of just like strength. And there's like photos and all that. It's so good.
Oh, that's so cool. I'm definitely checking that one out. I wanted
Awesome.
to mention one other thing that came up because I feel like creativity is a great outlet. You had talked about the noise in between your ears, and I too
Mm.
have that plight. And I feel like whenever, and this might sound cheesy, but just like coloring, or you had mentioned painting earlier, anything creative to take me out of that anxious, nervous energy flow state. I feel like anything creative does that instantly for me.
Totally. When you can kind of like start doing things with your hands, I feel like it takes the emphasis and the intention off of your thoughts, or the attention off your thoughts when you're doing something with your hands. It's funny, I'm actually going to a welding workshop tomorrow.
It's so fun.
If you can believe
Okay,
that.
good
So
for you.
random. So there's someone I follow. Her name is Ray Ripple, and she is a creative. She's a storyteller and a writer, but she's also a welder. Like her creative outlet is welding things and making art out of that. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna
Sounds
see if there's
cool.
any welding classes in Savannah. And so I'm going to a welding workshop tomorrow. So I encourage all of your listeners to just like go for it. Look up some like local classes, maybe something that when you were a kid that you really loved, like Legos, or just sketching, or picking up a set of crayons and just going to town, in a journal or something like that. I think the thing for most adults is we want to be good at it. It's like, oh, we look at it and you're like, oh, this is terrible. That's not the point. It's
Right.
like the point is just to have fun and do something with your hands and get out of your head. And you never know what that could kind of blossom into. Like maybe you find a new book club and you find new friends. Like maybe you find a new hobby that turns into something that you can make a career out of, or maybe it's just something that you connect with like your grandchildren on, to pass on to them. So I just think like being open to do a little Google search, see what's in your area, and just going for it because it's so fun. And who cares if it's not good or up to your standards, you know?
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that philosophy. Just get out there and freaking do it. Try something new. That's going to be our takeaway for today is that, and actually, Boobs Free Babes community homework. Everybody go try something new or something fun this weekend. I think that's an appropriate ask.
Yes, and let us know what you do. Like I'm
Yeah.
so curious to know what everybody gets into. So two homeworks, I guess. Like go do
Well,
the
and
thing
give
and
us
then
some
tell us about
ideas.
it. Yeah.
Right? Like, give us some ideas
Yeah.
so we can try some cool stuff too. I think
Yes.
on, I don't know if it was on TikTok or something I saw recently, but they had this program where you could try all these different hobbies and then you just pick the one that you like. And I was like, wow, I've never made candles before, but I might like to try that, or making perfume or different, just cool different things and
Love
succulents,
that.
planting succulents, whatever.
Yeah.
Painting,
Yeah.
just trying different crafts. I think macrame was one of them. I would love to do macrame
Ooh, cool. I
and
love
make some
that.
cool, like, holiday presents for your friends and family. I mean, how cool is that?
Perfect timing to go look into these things because then you can just make some stuff for your gifts, for your holiday gifts, instead of being like, oh man, what does Susie Q need? It's like, no, I made you this thing. How cool would that be?
That means so much more, I feel like, when
It
we
does.
craft something and we really give a piece of ourselves, right? We give a piece of our
Yeah.
creativity when we do that. So
Yeah, and
perfect timing.
there's also one last thing, there's also, this, it's called Harvard X, I think, and they do free classes for, like, continued education. So if there's, like, a certain subject or because I know there's, like, master class and stuff like that, but most of the time you have to, like, pay for a subscription for that. But Harvard X has free resources and free classes that you're being taught by pretty I think, influential people about different topics. So definitely check that out too if you're more on like the academia side of trying something new.
I am so going to check that out. That is
Yeah.
fascinating to me. Wow, you have brought a bunch of knowledge, data points, tips, tricks, and fun to today's episode. Renee, it's always a pleasure seeing you and Mara and what you guys are up to and doing over at Nosedive. We're so excited to follow along on your journey as well. And we are just really appreciative that you took the time to hang out with us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ellen. I really appreciate it. And yeah, well, of course, I can't wait to see what everybody does in your community this weekend.
Yes, yes. I'm
Yeah.
going to actually post that in the Facebook group. Speaking of, be sure to follow us on Booze Free Babes Instagram, Booze Free Babes podcast, also on Instagram. And if you haven't already, check out the Booze Free Babes private Facebook group. We'd love to have you join and just follow along on our journey and see what the heck we're up to. All right, Renee, any last tips, tricks, or any last closing remarks before we sail off into the sunset today?
Just live your life. Have some fun. Go do it.
Go do it, love your life, and make it fun.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Renee. We appreciate you being on the Booze Free Babes podcast. And
Thanks,
everybody go
Ellen.
follow nosedive.co. All right, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thanks, Ellen.